I hope this mic, can you hear me? Yeah. It's been a bit mumbly, hasn't it? So if you can't understand what I'm saying, just give me a shout. Can you hear me? Yeah. Cool, excellent.
Can't hear it from.
You know us anyway, you know it. I heard Jason say, what's everybody come here for today? You know, and different people have different reasons, but I think that the main reason, but you can disagree with me, is we want a solution. You know, I remember the days when I was young. I was brought up not far from here, and the cop had given me a thick ear for whatever I did, and the job's done. It's sorted out. Now I'd probably get a fine, and if I didn't pay that fine, I'd have to go to court, and it'd cost the taxpayer our lovely fictional money of 20, 30k. So that tells me that the legal system, not the lawful system, the legal system in this country is all about the money and making money. Now, we need a solution, and the difficult thing we've got is we've got a cartel that are running the country. I think I've been banned off Facebook for mentioning this, so if somebody wants to ban me... The criminal cabal?
Yeah, right at the top.
Right at the very top. You want to go back to the paper and that. I don't want to go completely into detail there because we'll be here for a long, long time, but we're all sat here for the solution. Do you know? We all want to stop abuse of one type or another, including the banking system. And the only way we're going to do this is if we all stand together. Now, I hate saying this really, I feel embarrassed by it, but I used to be a lawyer. I'm an ex-lawyer and journalist. A lot of people probably know me from my journalist times as well. But when I was a lawyer and I worked for the government...
All these things happen for a reason.
There we go, mate. Who trained me? Bless him. Are we alright? I've broke something. I'm known for doing this at the house, aren't I? Breaking things. Breaking laws. Yeah, so they taught me, the government taught me. I did a lot of things for the Ministry of Defence, but one of the great things that they taught me is how they con people. Well, that's how I think now. And how they conned me into thinking that it was right to have a war with whatever country, whether it's sovereign or not, that we have the right as a country to go to wherever, Syria, Iraq, wherever it is, Ireland, and kill people. We don't. There's no one that's got a right to take another person's life. You know, and when I talk about the physical, I talk about the mental as well, because we live in times of slavery. You know, the papal's done this, the cabal, if you like, have done this. Blame it on anybody, but I'll tell you what the power is with the people. You know, we are, a lot of people talk about being a god. Well, we're creators. We can create. Everybody in this room has the capability of creating. The reason they want to sign a document is because you are the power. Do you know what I mean? That signature is worth money. So when your parents... has everybody got a birth certificate in this room?
No.
You've lost yours, have you? No, you haven't got a birth certificate, that's right. We've had this conversation, didn't we, last year in Telford? Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And then I changed my name.
Yeah.
Still moving always.
But when I was born, my parents wouldn't register me. I thought they were lunatics. Now I'm doing what my parents did 40 odd years ago now, and saying the same things that they told me that I thought they were fools by doing so. But there wasn't many people back then when I was born to understand the system. Luckily or not, my mother worked for the government as well and knew the government inside out, and then encouraged me to learn law, but learn law through history. I did that, and came out of the Ministry of Defence. I worked head of legal services for one council and for a housing association as well I did. And I learned all their systems, and I didn't know this is what nature does. You know, if you sat here today and thinking, shit, why am I here, or what's going on, and you feel like you haven't even got a career. I ain't got a career. I threw away 2 careers because I didn't want to work people, and both the careers that I was taught in were meaning to set up a system, if you like, legal systems to take money off you guys. And that's what I did, and I helped set up them systems for councils and governments to take money off you guys. Do you know? That's theft, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm sorry that I did that, but when I look back, The education system that we have taught me to do that. The government taught me to do that. The council taught me to do that. You know, so I don't feel like it. Because now I can come back in my 40s, well, I've been doing this for a long time now, but I can come back and I want to provide solutions for you guys. But I can't do it by myself. Just because I've studied law doesn't mean I know it all, because I actually know that. Do you know? And every one of us in this room only knows a little bit, but together, Jesus, I tell you, we're a force. And this is a difficult thing we've got for the solution. Is if we do not stick together, we're screwed. We need to get back to communities. We need to get back to being a community, you know, like Lisa says, about free energy. The energy's there and the energy is free. You know? They wanted to shut Tesla for a reason, and I know Jason mentioned this earlier. They wanted to shut you up for a reason, because you're going to get it for free. Do you know, what is the solution? This is what I wrote. Some people in here love it. I just wrote these little things. I never prepare. Is the future hemp? Do you know, in some rooms I'd say that and they'd laugh and look at me like I'm an absolute lunatic. But I just wrote this down. What is hemp really, as in a plant that they've tried to stop us growing? Something that feeds you, it clothes you, it builds houses, it protects you, it heals you. So the government, if anybody's in here that doubts, the government have stopped this. The government have stopped you using a natural plant. Luckily they haven't stopped you using coconut yet, coconut oil, but I'm sure it will do next. Or breathing air, breathing fresh air. But we've got everything there, so what is that solution? The solution is there in a plant. It's absolutely there. So if they're going to come to, if they're going to, like I know people that have been put away for, you know, growing whatever they've been growing for whatever reason. Do you know what my answer sometimes to the courts, and the courts don't let me in the buildings in these days, but I say to the judge, or I say to the person out there, who are you as a man or a woman that can tell another person that they can't eat, chew, or use a plant or grow it? Who are you? Because if you like, we'll call him Jehovah, or her. Well, God, Jehovah, Jesus. I'm not religious by it. No, I'm nowhere near religious. But in their system, Jehovah is the highest law in the land, the lawmaker. If you like, even you want to call it the high priestess or whatever. In this country, not only this country, around the world, that is, the Jehovah is the highest. Now, Jehovah gave us lands. We are stewards. Lisa mentioned it, and other people mentioned it. We are stewards. It is our job to protect ourselves, our family, in an honourable way, and to be stewards of the land. So the last will and testament of God, if you like, of Jehovah, is you, everybody here, your job is to protect the law and the land and use it for good. So we've got a government, basically, that are trying to stop us doing that. So how are we going to sort that out? You know, people talked about, we had good old Russ here and talked about the debt and signatures, etc. I'm just going to go into a little detail because I know a couple of people said to me I still don't understand it. Now, I don't do the 3-let process, I only ever do it once. And a lot of people have criticised me because I've not paid electric, gas, water or council tax since I came back to this country 8 or 9 years ago now. I've had no hassle, I've not been in court. And I can prove it, beyond a doubt. Now, my first argument, when I first did it, I did it with water, and I said it to somebody else actually recently, but I said to the water authority, so the water that hits my roof, yeah, comes from the clouds, we're agreeing in that, yeah. You're charging me for it. Don't understand it, it seems bonkers to me. But not only is that more bonkers, the fact of the matter is you're putting it into something, and then you're filling it with God knows what you're putting in there. Fluoride, antidepressants, God knows what, just all these things. And I said to them, you know what, take that, this is what I started with, I said take that out and I'll pay for it. Because I'm not going to pay for poison, and I'm not going to pay for poison. I'd rather go to prison, but they can't put me in there, but I'd rather go to prison than pay for poison and drink water out of a tap. There's probably people here that do that, but trust me, your health will change if you just change that one thing in terms of your water. Remember what we're made up of, what our bodies are made up of. It's so important to make sure that your water and your blood, etc., is oxygenated. And some of the stuff they put in it stops that. So it's not good for you. But yeah, that was one of my first reasons why. And they said, we'll take you to court. really wanted them to take me to court, and I was desperate, so I started winding them up, but they wouldn't take me to court. I knew they wouldn't take me to court because the judge would have to decide on my case that, well, actually, why are you putting these things in the water? It's not clean water. I've got clean water, it's coming down, and you're poisoning it. You want me to pay for it? Are you an absolute lunatic? I said this to the CEO of Hampshire Water, I think it was as well, that he was a lunatic. So yeah, that was from the water, and then I basically said, I'll tell you what, let's go to court, and if God can give me an invoice for the water, as an honourable man, I've got to pay it, and I will pay that. So bring Jehovah, God, or whatever you want to call this spiritual being. He'll give me that invoice, and if he owns that water, I'm more than happy to pay. And I say that down the camera now, God, so, if you want to invoice me, I've drank shitloads of water, I must admit. So you can do that. Now the national grid, but the national as well, those that do pay tax, we have to do it for shopping, don't we? Which I'm disgruntled about, but those that do pay tax are paying for that, right? So then when a bill comes through the door, it's a bill, remember this, it's a bill, not a bill of exchange. The Bill of Exchange Act has got nothing to do with the bill that comes through your front door. Absolutely nothing. Because a bill needs a drawing law. It needs to say who that drawer is, who that person is that money's going to, and if it doesn't, it is not a bill. So you could ring up and say, who's Bill? Because his name's on the bloody top of the letter. And it's not a bill because it's not got a drawing. Or you could go the other direction and say, well, where's the invoice? They won't invoice you. You know why they won't send you an invoice? Because they can't invoice you for something you've already paid for. You try this out, and if nobody's done it, go to Eon or whoever and say, look, could you send me an invoice with the terms and conditions and what I've used? And they'll never do it because their system, every single system, well, I'll tell you what, I'll do a deal with you. Any person that can go to them and gets an invoice from even the council, from the electric, gas or whatever, and they send you that invoice, I'll pay it for you because I know they can't do it. But you've heard me, I'm on camera in front of witnesses, I will pay that. I know they can't do it because they cannot charge you twice or three times. So don't go down the negative or where people feel guilty, don't like, oh, you've got to pay it. If you don't pay it, my next door neighbour's going to have to pay an extra 10, 15, 20 or whatever percent. I'm telling you what, you're paying into a system that is abusing you. How many people in the world would pay into a system that takes your money, has a private police force and kicks you out of your house? Who'd do that? Who'd kick a person, man or woman or child, on the streets for the sake of a debt? So, and the other thing as well about human beings and being human beings, how can we be the debt when we're the money? I talk about money in terms of we're rich, because we're very rich people in this room, very, very rich, because we can create. So many things on earth can't create. We can think, we can create, but we've been taken over, haven't we? It seems we've been taken over by computers. I was talking to the council, was it, that I can't remember, a couple of days ago. Oh no, DVLA, that's right. I went in to see him, didn't I? DVLA. And he said, well, this is what the computer says. I said, so you live your life listening to the computer? So the computer's telling you one thing, and you're listening to that computer and doing what that computer tells you. Have you not got a mind? Have you not got common sense? Well, that's what the computer says. Really? Well, take me to court. Well, it's actually not you. The computer can take me to court, can't it? And sit there as a bloody witness. And talking about that, if anybody does any, I don't know, I travel quite a lot, and sometimes I go over, you have these things on the side of the road, don't you? They say, I don't know, they have numbers on them with a circle. Sometimes it says 70 or whatever. White circle with a black line down it, God knows what that's all about. Anyway, national something or other. But sometimes, you sneeze, don't you? You can't help sneezing. You ever tried when you accelerate? When you sneeze, you do that. Do you know? And we got caught recently. I'm not saying who was driving, but we got caught recently doing more than we should have been doing. It wasn't dangerous. We were driving with due care attention. But a camera had obviously caught us speeding, or it alleged it anyway. But I said to the police, how can a camera take? Because what you've got to have in law, somebody's got to basically be I don't like pointing the finger, but somebody's got to basically say, as a witness, they've made a statement that you've offended them in some manner. That's the law. Now, if there's not that statement, you've got nothing to answer to. So to Hampshire Police, was it? Hampshire police or whoever they are, Hampshire security. I spoke to them and said, well, I look forward for the camera taking me to court. He said, what are you on about? I said, well, you just told me I've offended a camera. So I look forward to it. Anyway, they've had to drop it because the camera can't be a witness, it seems. So that's quite interesting. But still the computer told them that a camera can be, which, yeah, my mind boggles that we have a legal system that is controlled by computers. But it is quite dangerous, isn't it, when you think about it? All these systems, like ATM machines, I'm not encouraging anybody to break into one, but they're just an MS-DOS system. And I talked about it with somebody else who was in this room, and you could actually boot it up and take the money out of it. That's how dangerous it is. You know, and the Inland Revenue can take money from your account, or soon they're trying to get the Inland Revenue to take money out of your account. Now my advice, back to solutions, set up your own council. Look what trust is. I don't mind helping you out with a trust and writing down the bits and pieces that you need to know. That's not a problem at all. And anybody that works with us, with the Land Council, we don't mind helping you out. We've not set up the Land Council to make money. We've set up the Land Council to create freedom, because we've had enough of seeing children being taken away, abuse, and I'm sick and tired. It drives me insane. We were down in Cornwall and Devon recently. I tell you, it's like manna from heaven. You can drive straight into an organic restaurant or a shop, and there's good food, you can taste it, you can pick it off the tree, it's fantastic. Brilliant people, didn't see a Tesco's for days, it's flipping fantastic. I loved it, because we struggle when we're driving around to find decent food, and we will not, well, sometimes, fry-ups are alright. We won't eat certain foods. And sometimes we're nearly starving, but do you know what? Why would we poison ourselves? Let's have a look, let's have a word with each other. Do you know, Leeds, I remember as a kid, I wasn't brought up in Leeds, I was brought up just on the outskirts of Bradford. But we used to have all the markets, didn't we, in Leeds? They're brilliant marketplaces, you could buy anything, and most of it was organic, gone. Why is that gone? Tesco's, Sainsbury's, Morrison's, etc., etc. So we can make a difference as people, as part of the solution, in not buying from them, not purchasing from them. You know, it's very easy to get a garden and grow, and if you don't know how to put a seed into soil, and some people don't, you know, then get people to help you, learn a little bit. Look at your bill when you come out of Asda or wherever. I'm not endorsing Asda, by the way, I can't stand them, but any of the big corporates, and you look at your receipt, and you're spending, or as a family, you're spending on average, 40 quid on fruit and veg. Now imagine if you grew that in your back garden. You know, we don't like money as such, but at this moment in time we've got money, that's a currency that we have to use. I mean, a currency I'd use is hemp, personally. And bring back hemp notes and hemp bars, you know, and we've got a guy that I've met recently, he can do clothing with hemp, you know, and there's another guy that can do oil, you know, so there's an exchange straight away. There's no money being bartered, but you've got your trousers and he's got his oil or whatever, you know, your food, etc. So we can use hemp as a great product to create, not even a new society, create our society was there, you know. The law was set up for you, for us. Acts and legislation is in slavery. It is absolutely in slavery. We talk about the Constitution, it's completely unconstitutional to actually have acts and statutes. An act or a statute that creates an effect on somebody that's negative is against law of the land in this country. So just check out, I'll tell you what to check out, canon law, and check out Tara law, which is natural law. If you check that out when you get home tonight or over the weekend, you'll find something interesting. And come back to us if you've got any questions, because we wrote, actually a friend of mine wrote an awful lot, an encyclopedia, believe it or not, on these areas, and I've been writing on it as well to find solutions for everybody. But what I would suggest as a community is set up a trust. Get your own council. What is a council? Ask yourself the question, what is a council? Well, here we are. This is a council of people. And then let's sort out our needs as a community. You don't need the council down the road. That's the mafia. They want your money. They've created council tax. What does council tax pay for? There's not even, we talked about it earlier a little bit. It's a contract. Well, have you signed it? Who signed the contract to council tax? In fact, who's had an invoice from them with the terms and conditions telling you what you get? I can tell you what you get because I've worked for the council, and you were paying towards my private pension, which is quite nice, thank you very much. Oh, and my BMW as well, that I had, and I had to walk away from that. I was actually disgusted with myself, and I told the council that I'm disgusted how they treat people, Shouldn't clap me, bought my house. No, I lost the house, funny enough, not long after that. But if you set up your own council, and this is the idea, the idea behind Land Council, is we want to give a platform. There's a lot of people in here that probably, they may not need it for whatever reason, but we've set it up for vulnerable people as well, that are scared of the bailiffs. I don't care if you're a bailiff or a copper, come knock on my door, I'm not bothered, I can sort you out, no problem. Nice and peaceful in mind, not violently. I can deal with it. I'm not scared. I'm not scared at all. But there's people out there that are scared, and we need to protect them. I feel it a duty. I feel it an honour as well, that we can protect other people, because who are we? We are creators. Who are they? Who's a man or a woman that can tell you that you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to cook a certain amount of food, you're not allowed to have a plant in your bloody garden? Shut up. What is up with you? You want whatever money off me per month to give me clean water that God gave me, Jehovah gave me, or whatever, it fell out of the sky. What other company can make money out of something that comes for free? It's unacceptable. Unacceptable, that's a word I use a lot, because it's all bloody unacceptable. And then we got the issue with the police and the problem there, and I think if we do create a council and a community, then we can talk to the police and say, look, we want community policing, we want protecting. We need protecting from the banks and the bloody government. And from the councils. At the moment, you've got special purpose vehicles or whatever, where you've got police units. They're there to come and evict you, to asset strip you. UKSA was set up by the government to asset strip and take people's property. I know, because I spent quite a bit of time helping Response out and doing some work with Response, which, by the way, are a very good organisation. So the Crawford family, just to put that on record, very good and honourable people who have had a lot of a hard time recently. They deserve a roof over their head like any other person, and the government should be ashamed of themselves for kicking these people out of their home. And I'm glad that Tom took the stance that he did, no matter what other people think. I think he did the honourable thing. He's not making money out of it. He's suffered a hell of a lot. He's a personal friend of mine, so I do know the Earl family and what they've suffered from. But we can only stop it if we stand together. Do you know what? We'll argue, because we all have different needs, we all have different opinions, but we are the only ones that can make a difference, and if we don't stand up soon, we're going to be, I don't want to scare anybody, because that's not what my intention is, but we're going to be in the shit. The soil, if you look at the soil, or you look and you drive through the countryside and you see a yellow field. Remember, it used to be green, now it's yellow. Why is it yellow? Dare I mention chemtrails? People look at you and think, chemtrails? It's a fiction, and I look up in the air and go, yeah, of course it is, mate. And I walk away and I think, that grass is now yellow, it's not green anymore. And that's because of what? I don't know, maybe something's coming from the core of the earth. Can't be planes that are putting detergents and God knows what else. Jason knows more about this than me, actually. But they're putting whatever in the air. And it's to dumb your dad comes in. Because a birth certificate is just a contract, and you're contracted into the state. I'm afraid when you've got a birth certificate, you're walking straight into slavery, and they're in charge of your estate. I can prove all this beyond doubt. In fact, it's on the government bloody website. I can prove it.
What's your views on forced adoption?
Oh my God. Do you know what? I hate dealing with children's situations, because I got a big heart, I hate them, I detest them, and I helped a friend of mine to try and keep his child, and I failed. So I want to do something about it. I don't want to talk about it on Facebook, I don't want to talk about it on Twitter. I want to do something about it, and that's why I went to court, thinking I'm not trained in this area, but I want to speak to the heart of the judge and say, look, what are you doing? Why are you stealing that child? I know why you're stealing the child, because you get $2.5 grand a week for doing the A, B and C. But what about the parents? What about the child? How's it going to grow up? And we know that some of these homes, children's homes, are absolute castles gone, aren't they? But we realise some of them are horrific, and things happen that I'm not going to mention over the mic. I hate forced adoption. Why not work with a family? Why not sit and work with a family? You know, we've dealt with counsellors and social workers for other reasons as well, which I won't go into detail, but I sit down and talk to them and I say, why not talk with the family, with the mother, with the father? Don't they need support? Maybe there is a problem, I don't know. But why don't you look at the root of the problem rather than stealing it and giving it to some who?
Because they need to reach their adoption targets.
Well, yeah, they do. They get a bonus as well, you know, after the big test.
Not only that, when they actually place it
Leeds
for
City
adoption.
Council received £1.3 million, right, in 2013, just for reaching their adoption targets.
101. Bradford got £1 million. They also get £18,000 a day removal and £556 a day.
It's human
for the child.
It is human trafficking. I've done a document, actually I wrote something very recently on it, but it's an area that I find difficult. It's an area that I'd like to, well, we'd all like to stop it, let's be fair. You know, I don't want to see any child taken away from its parents, you know. Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? It's a massive subject because you're fighting against not only the government but your own council, well, your own bloody government and the police force.
You fight against your neighbours, your friends, because a lot of people think, oh, there's no smoke without fire. They don't remove babies for no reason. They don't take kids off parents for no. Well, actually, yeah, they do. They do.
They do. It's beyond doubt, there's proof out there beyond doubt, but we need to find a solution in this area, and I'm desperately trying to find it, you know.
What about reversing section 47 back to them on how our children aren't safe in local authority care, and they're taking these kids, you know, and they're screaming out, you know, Cameron stop child tax credit, £52 a week, and they can pay foster carers at £350 a week tax free.
Do you know how to solve it? Honestly, I only think this is, I mean, I've been working in different areas for absolute years and years, and I think the only way to stop it is to create a trust and create your own council, because then you've got that power, the people have got the power to decide. We can decide in this room who's a good parent, who isn't a bad parent, can't we, as a council? Can't we do that as a community? Because that's what we used to do, until money got involved in it. Yeah, we had little courts, but we had to dispute the administrative courts, and a decision was made, and you kind of, I don't like the word complied, but you kind of complied. Now even the judges, the senior judges, basically say that the child courts are out of control, and they're all about money, not about justice. So we need to resolve that somehow, and I do believe the only way is to being together as a community, creating a trust, creating our own council, and therefore when the council come toward you, or your child, you're protected by that council. Who are you? Again, we go back to that. Who are you? Have you got my consent? The only difficult thing is if you've got a birth certificate or a contract with them, then you're in contract with them and you're a slave. That means you're a thing, a person that they can utilise and move about wherever they want. That's a big problem, and I've worked out a system that can resolve that, but I've not tested it, and I don't like to say, look, do this. Because if it don't work, then I cause harm to whatever person, and when children are involved, I'm not prepared to do that. But I'm going down a system at the moment, and if it works, everybody in the world will learn.
My granddaughter's already been adopted now anyway, so it'd be too late to go down that.
I don't think it's ever too late.
There is a revocation or a reversal of it you can apply for. Obviously, everyone knows my situation here. Obviously, my girls are the same. But I'm a father. I'm not a mother. I'm a father that lives separately from my children. And what they did with me is basically took my daughters, put them into the system, and basically, because I'm an Asian male, didn't even bother to basically assess me. I was no good because I wasn't there, because I wasn't the primary carer, because I wasn't there for the first 4 years of my daughter's life to basically implement the primary care that they needed at that time. So it had been too long for them to teach me to be a good dad. But yet these foster carers, well, these adoptive parents where my girls have gone now, they've only been assessed for 3 months. My girls have been an assistant for 3 years. So if that's the case...
Yeah, it's like we made a granddaughter within the space of 4 weeks. looking for a prospective adopted parent to go in and live with her, it would have space of 3 weeks.
But because I've kicked
Now,
off,
you know, my granddaughter, she was just over 1, you know, and she was just shoved with this. You know, within the space of 3 weeks, she was sent to go live with this family. It's, there's so many different aspects that could be opened up over, you know, the disgustingness of it all.
I believe the root cause of certain as most is social services as a family, because they want us to live in fear, as obviously Lisa said earlier. It's the fear tactic. So what, you know, it's an asset. Our children are an asset. They're coming for us property.
You're an asset as well.
You know, we're all an asset, yeah. But at the end of the day, I can protect myself.
No,
but when it comes to my assets, they protect my assets. But then they'll go get a dodgy judge to say, right, I want your house, I want your car, I want your kids. But they can't take you, because obviously you as a person can only persecute and put in a prison.
No, instead they try to destroy you in other ways by stealing your children, filling you with tablets and God knows what else, and just throwing crap at you constantly until you lose the will to live. And then they've got rid of you then.
And this is the very reason why you need...
More problem solved.
This is why you need the community. This is why you need people around you.
What strength will a community, new communities starting up against the big people,
Who pays for the big corporates?
We do.
Who pays for the big corporates? How do they make profit?
Through us.
Through us. We pay into that system. You know, a banknote isn't worth anything, is it? The promissory note. This is an old story now with the promissory notes, isn't it? But the interest or the taxation on that note, who generates it? We generate it. I can go through that with you. Yeah. The thing with, do you remember the old movement is lose the name, don't ever lose your name, right? Your parents gave you your name, do you know? And that it's a great gift. My parents called me Jonathan. And don't let anybody take away what you own. I'll tell you what, your name, you own it, it's your asset. In law, it's stated your name is your asset. And I've done a few things recently on them trying to steal my name, including the DVLA, and express to them that they are breaking the law, and because they're civil servants, they have to obey acts and statutes, not like me. So I'm hoping to get some redress there, but it is down to, I was trying to do something last year with somebody to bring a bank down, which was HSBC Bank. Is this going on the internet? I'm actually part of the way through it, bless him. But if we all decided, if we all put our wages into HSBC or put whatever money in there and decided, do you know what, I'm going to take it all out, how long would that bank last? That's the power people have. If you all stopped going to Tesco's tomorrow, that Tesco's won't be there in 6 months' time, there's no chance. Because it won't be making the profit, and it's all about profit. This is a problem in this country. Everything is about profit. You're brought up to think about money, work, and you know, You know, we are the labour force, but we are the money. And we just need to turn that round, and we need it up in our mentality. You know, my dad worked his backside off, and so did my mother and my grandparents, you know, to give me a better life. And I sit here without a birth certificate, and I still feel like I'm being enslaved. And I am being enslaved because every letter is like a fight. I enjoy it now, and I do get left alone quite a lot, but I don't enjoy seeing friends and family and people that I care about being destroyed by a council civil servant, whether that's a social worker or whatever. You have no damn right. You're in a job as a trustee. We're the beneficiary. You're the civil servant. You'll never see a Jewish man in an English court or an English school. Why? Because they've got their entire old system. They've got their own education system. They've got their own police force. It's true up and down the country. You can check it out. They've got their own court system. They've got their own currency. And they're left alone. Now, there's no reason why we can't do that. And this is where trust is about. Forget the paperwork for a second, but the word trust. If we trust each other to look after each other equally, I mean, and that's what I'm all about, equality and justice. And I said this to a copper that I got, well, He was a naughty boy, but he had a police badge on. But it took me 18 months and he ended up going into a prison cell for doing naughty things. But I didn't do that because he was a police officer. I did that because he was wrong, and if I'm wrong, then I should pay a penalty. But none of us are wrong to wanting to live life. Who has the right to say to you, every quid you earn, I'm going to take 40 pence of that, or call it tax? Have they got the right to do that without your consent? Have the hell. But without getting the people together and saying, no, I'm not having it, we ain't going to change a lot, are we? You know? And somebody said, I think the guy's gone now, but there are different groups that are gelling together. There's different groups and different egos. You know what? We're not going to get anywhere with egos. We've all got a little bit of an ego, and we've got this, that, and the other going on because we're human beings.
We are in lack and scarcity to a degree. In that sense, if we're thinking like that, that's lack and scarcity in competition where there shouldn't be.
Yeah.
We should all be doing.
Do you know what? There's plenty of time, and there's a big enough country. Once we get rid of this lot, and we do need to get rid of him, and I don't mean mass murder, get rid of him in a nice way to show them that we've got love and we've got heart and we've got spirit. Get rid of him, set up our system, and then if somebody wants to go and have an ego trip about something, crack on. Country's big enough, do you know what I mean?
Don't you? Like, we need to pull together now, work together, and then they have power anyway.
Well, you take it away from them. If we all work together and we didn't pay tax, and I haven't paid tax for a long time either, I'll pay tax on food and stuff that I buy, but I refuse. The main reason why I refuse to pay tax to this government is because they make up these excuses, you know, that they need tax for this, tax for that, and next thing you know, we're blowing Syria apart. What about them children in Syria? Do you know what I mean? Who are we to have a riot? So, okay, they're only Syrians, so we'll kill a Syrian, shall we? They're only Syrians, they're only Iraqis, let's go and do that, or whoever. You know, I started it with that, didn't I? Who are we that's got the right to commit murder? Because that's what we're doing. I'm not paying my money towards that system. I won't do it. You know, and hopefully today's made a difference, and I thank Jason for standing up and getting it all together as well, and listening to us. If you've got any questions, just give us a shout. And
I just got one for you, John.
Go for it.
Obviously, you're going down the debt route, and obviously it's your own personal circumstances. You've never paid an electricity bill or a water bill in your life.
No, that's right.
I understand you, because obviously we're friends, obviously we're from the group as well.
Yeah.
And I understand that you didn't have a birth certificate obviously when you were born, due to obviously your own parents.
Yeah.
So is it that obviously when they recognise that you effectively are a sovereign, you've got a life-born record, because you don't have a birth certificate, that they do leave you alone?
It probably is part to do with it. The situation when they put you in a court, probably a lot of people know it, but when you go to court, they can trade off your birth certificate. It's a bond, they trade off it, and they take money from that, from the treasury. Your money, it's your money, by the way, this money. It's nobody else's money. Why haven't you got access to it? I wonder. But they've got the access because they call it an estate, so they look after your estate because you're classed as dead, a dead entity, that you can't make a decision yourself. So they take that money from there and they pay all these court fees, etc., solicitors' fees, lawyers' fees, etc. What if you haven't got a birth certificate? Now, I never knew this until I tried it with him, and I thought, oh shit, we're not going to make any money out of him. He's not got a birth certificate. Straight out the door, no messing about. So for me, it's a little bit different, but you can be the same. People are chasing the bonds out on birth certificates, and the one mistake that people are making, I believe, I've not tried it because I haven't got a damn birth certificate, but I've lent it to my mates, so I'm going to try it next week, and he's given me permission, consent, is you've got to do a last will and testament. So you got your birth certificate, yeah? Kill that birth certificate. Kill that entity. Last will and testament. Your last will and testament is, as, let's say, Jon Shackleton, that I want this to happen with my estate. I want it to be managed by Jon Shackleton, Land Council, a trust, whatever, it doesn't matter. That entity's gone, and then you can cash that in. That bond's got to be cashed in. Because in law, your last will and testament, it's upheld in law. There's no judge that can overrule it. As long as you can prove that you're sane and you're not insane. You know, and then what is insanity? It's another new ball game, isn't it, with this government? But that will reach you to your birth certificate, and I don't think many people realise that. A lot of people come to me and said, I can't do it, and I've said, what do you done? And I went, this is what you want done. Where's your last will and testament? Affidavit. So you've done that, you've last will and testament, then you do your affidavit of truth. Yeah? Once you've done that statement of truth, as I say, job's a good one.
How much are you worth then, John? How much much is everybody worth, but
I don't know because I've not got one, but lease, where is she?
She's gone downstairs. I've checked mine. I've lost 7 million in trading bonds. I've got 27 million. 34 is the actual figure, but I've lost 7 million in bad trades in my life.
I checked out my friend's Mike. I checked his out online. I'm trying to remember the website now. What's the website? Government Direct.
There's Fidelity and there's direct.gov.
Direct.gov. I checked it on there, and my mate was pulling in.
Another one as well. I can't remember the other one.
Well, he's worth the value of 120,000 on average per year. That's they raise the bonds every quarter, and you get a bond on the system. UK Limited, it's a limited company, but you all that have got birth certificates have got a percentage of that. You actually own that. It is yours.
Dan and Bradstreet as well.
Yeah, Dan and Bradstreet, yeah.
Dan and Bradstreet. You put your name in, you come up as like I come up as Imran Mirza Limited or incorporated, basically.
Thus, you get letters that have got capital.
Why do you need a death certificate to stop that birth certificate trading?
No, not death certificate. You only get death certificate when you die. It's not about your last will and
No, I
testament.
mean that's why you need a death certificate to stop your birth.
Well, you need to void it. You need to void
They
that.
need to void the trust and let
Yeah.
you're dead.
Once you've voided it, then it's capital, and it can be capitalised on. And that's how I believe it's done. But I only know one person that ever did it, and he disappeared, and I don't know if he's in Florida or somewhere else. But, you know, I would suggest people do it, but I'd do it 10, 20, 30 a year. Do you know what I mean? Because you've got protection in numbers, and I'm not saying somebody's going to come and put a bullet in the back of your head. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying we live in dodgy times. I think if we all stick together, we're going to be a lot safer. But that's me. Anybody wants to mention us, you can look us up, Land Council, or contact Jason or myself, and we will help where we can. Thank you very much.
Jon Shackleton there. Right, so we're going to have another short break, and then Del's going to finish off and wrap us all up. He's got some good material. So if you want to take 5 hours.